It's just getting better and better and better at the World Athletic Championship. Today, Al-Bakali showed who is the real king at the 3000 meter steeplechase. Let's see what Sandeep Mishra and Amit Kamath has to say about the fourth day at World Athletic Championship. Sandeep, you were quite confident about Al-Bakali in our previous show. The Moroccan didn't disappoint a bit and won his first World Athletic Championship. What were you thinking, Sandeep, when Bakali was lurking around in the sixth spot till the very last point in the race?
I was thinking the same as the lead pack was probably thinking, when the hell is he going to move up? But, you know, I've seen quite a bit of races. You know, I've seen them in the stadiums, I've seen them at the Olympic Games, Asian Games, the World Championships. I've seen them on television, but I have never felt the way I felt when I was watching this one. This one built itself up. It built itself up to a point where you actually thought that when is the race going to start? You know, and he was, I think he came in with that superb plan that he is not going to do the pace out there. He is not going to make them run. He would let them do the running and he will stay in the middle. So what happens is that the lead pack don't know where he is. The back pack is probably looking at that he's running in the middle. So they keep thinking, why the hell is this guy running in the middle? And you keep on and on. I mean, where do you see 11 runners go on to the last lap with each of them capable of hitting the line? And Bakali reeled them in, he reeled them in, he reeled them in like you're sitting on the side of a lake, you know, fishing. He just brought all of them in. It was, I mean, it was remarkable. The tactics were spot on. He knew exactly what to do. The rest of them had no clue where he was. And then when he makes his move, I mean, we all know the kind of a finisher he is. He actually, at the end of the day, I think, I don't even have a word, you know, you can use king, you can use emperor, you can use anything. He was the supremo out there today. He actually just wanted that gold. To heck with the timings, to heck with anything out there. My job is to win a race. And he did that with such superb brilliance that, and I don't have, honestly, don't have words to describe Bakali right now. And I mean, this guy, I mean, becoming the first non-Kenyan to win is also a massive thing. And you could see it in his tears out there, you know, when he's hugging his coach or whoever there was on the sideline. This was a race to remember. This was a race that's going to be with all the people who saw it. And I think I saw a lot of comments saying that, you know, it was slow, it was this. You know, the simple thing is if you don't understand middle distance running, then you don't understand Bakali, you don't understand what really happened. And this was right at the top. It was probably one of the best this World Championship is going to offer.
Girma has finished on second, Amit and Kipruto on third. Bakali's final dash stunned both of them. So let's talk about both of them. Amit, what were your views? Did you think that Girma and Kipruto would be surpassed by Al-Bakali at the end?
You know, Bakali kind of winning was, it wasn't predestined, but then you knew that there was only one guy in the field or in the pack who could have actually challenged him, and that was supposed to be Girma. We saw that, you know, Girma at the start, I think till the 800 meters, he was right at the back. So he, at the very start, he had signaled that he was not going to make a break for it. Eventually, even Bakali decided that, you know, I'm not going to go at the top and make all of these guys chase me. I'm just going to be comfortable. I'm going to sit in the middle of the this diamond-shaped peloton, if you will call it that. So he was very comfortable in his skin, as was Girma. Eventually, I think while talking to the World Athletics guys in the mix zone, Girma went on to admit that, you know, he had made a mistake with his tactics, that he maybe should have, you know, gone for the kill slightly earlier than Bakali did. Because if you saw, once Bakali went, you know, into the lead, there was no catching anybody.
And also, Amit, let's, how can we not talk about Sable? Do you think that Sable should have started with much more pace?
Look, a lot of people have already said that this was one of the slowest ever World Championship steeplechase races. Just to put that into context, the men's steeplechase race has been held at 17 world championships before today. If Al Bakali had run the kind of pace that he did today at any of those other world championships, he would not even have finished eighth at 17 other world championships held before this. So that tells you how slow that field was. And if you ask me whether Avinash Sable should have pushed the pedal, not really, because if you look at his qualification, his heats, he was the one who surged into the lead at the start. And then we all saw how it turned out because he was not able to sustain that pace. So if he was not able to sustain that pace in qualification, trying to do that in the finals is a little far-fetched. For him also, if he had gone on the kill at the start, he would have been devoured. Because if you look at the other runners, some of them who tried to, particularly if you look at the Spaniard, he was leading, I think, till the 800-meter mark. And I think he finished maybe dead last, if I'm not mistaken. So that just tells you that it would have been a foolish ploy for Avinash to have, gone for the kill right at the start or tried to run these guys, because eventually what Bakali did, eventually what Girma did was wait until the last 400 meters because they knew that they have magnificent kicks. In the last 400 meters, they know exactly when to push the pedal and just start the afterburners and go. So even if Avinash had pushed from the start, even if Avinash had pushed from the middle, by the end, he would have been winded down and he would have just seen the rest of the entire pack just vroom past him.
Sandeep, what's done is done, but going into the Commonwealth Games, what can we expect from Sable?
Definitely a lot, but before the CWG, and if you see this particular race, there's been criticism about him, which should not be there because he's done his best. Now he's gone into a final. You can't expect him to be in the top 4, top 5, top 6 unless the race kind of becomes the way he wants it to. But at this point of time, one thing is very clear: you really want to battle up at this level constantly, consistently. You really want to do well, you want to shine, you want to be in the top 4, top 5, top 6, you want to get into the diamond leagues and do all of that. The AFI has to answer to all of this. When I say answer, I'm not saying that there's a massive question mark around that. But the simple fact is, you have to send your best runner to be at the best races. He's got to be running with these guys constantly. Only then he can stand up, he can do, like we were talking, that at this moment of time for him, the greatest thing is to have a selfie with Bakali. It's time that he understands that finishing in the top 4, top 5, top 6 consistently across races in Europe and other places, he has to do it. If Sable is not going to train abroad, if he is not going to run the A, B, C races out there, if he is not going to be at the Diamond League, this is the result that you will always expect. Because don't expect Sable to be in the middle group, fall back, go up front, then come back into the middle group. The man doesn't have experience of that, and he is overawed. I mean, who wouldn't be overawed with this kind of a field? I mean, how many times does he run in this kind of field? I think that's where those kind of questions the AFI needs to ask itself. Are they doing justice to the best runner in this country? I don't think so. Should they be sending him abroad consistently to do everything that's required to make him a top 4 runner? I don't think so. So what is the answer? The answer is simple. Tell Sable, stay abroad, run the best, run against the greatest of these guys and pick up the medals. I think that's what is the main thing right now. CWG, if he is on the podium, it will be another massive achievement for him.
Right, he certainly needs the exposure and experience, Sandeep. And now let's quickly move on to the 200 meters.
Amit wants to say something.
Yeah, Amit.
Sorry, I just wanted to add something. Recently Sri Shankar was the long jumper Sri Shankar. He was talking to journalists where he mentioned that Neeraj Chopra told him once that the only reason why he goes into all these big ticket events and does not get overawed by the competition there is because he's gotten the experience of competing against literally the same field at every competition he goes to. He's been to World Championship events. He's been to all of these events where you had a vetter next to you, you had a roller next to you. You've seen all of those guys in flesh and blood. So that is the only reason why he does not get overawed. And sorry, just to answer that, the Commonwealth Games question, if you look at the Gold Coast Commonwealth Games, the three top times were all 8, 12, and below, which means even if Sable is to run his personal best at these Commonwealth Games, I think he might even have finished fifth at the last Commonwealth Games. Because when he goes to these Commonwealth Games, he's going to meet at least two Kenyans. Two of them who were there today. He's going to get Kipruto, who finished third. He's going to get Kiviwat, who finished fifth. So these two guys are definitely going to be there. Because Kenya might also be able to get one more runner, so he'll have to probably go up head-to-head against a battery of three Kenyan runners. So that kind of, will push Sable to push himself over and above what he has already done, if he has to win a medal.
Right, Amit. But let's talk about men's high jump final now, Amit. Mutaz Esa Bharshim, first in London, then in Doha, and now in Eugene. He has done it again. Amit, the Qatari athlete, wins the gold in men's high jump event. Amit, please tell our viewers about the brilliance of Bharshim at World Athletic Championship.
Hardik, before I start to talk about the brilliance of Bharshim, let me just talk about the brilliance of this event itself. A lot of people like to think of 100-meter sprinters or 200-meter sprinters as the real showmen of athletics. You had Bolt, who would, he was larger than life, obviously. He would go into a press conference before the Olympics and start dancing, with the samba dancers and stuff like that. So people were obviously very, very fascinated by Bolt, the showman. But if you look at, the top 3 or top 4 high jumpers, all of them are born showmen. You look at somebody like a Bharshim, the visor that he's wearing while he jumps, that is straight out of some sort of a movie where he plays a robot. You have somebody like a Tamberi who shaves half his face at every big competition, and he's been doing that since 2011. It's not like a recent fad or something. And when he was asked why he does it, he said that it's because I want to entertain the crowd. You look at somebody like a Wu who finished with the silver medal today. Even he's a guy who is very, very expressive, unnaturally expressive for a South Korean athlete, because usually you see them, very subdued. They don't like to show too much emotion. But you look at Wu, you look at Tamberi, you look at Bharshim, everything about them is flamboyant. The way they look, even their shoes, if you look at their shoes, both of them are two separate colors. So there's something about high jumpers. They are the true-blooded showmen of the athletics field. And when you come to Bharshim today was, he was on a stage of his own. After winning gold at Tokyo, Bharshim has been in a funk, because he's entered 2 competitions. Both the competitions he's not been able to even cross 2.30. Today, he goes into all of his attempts and clears all of them on the first attempt, barring, I think, when he went for the world record at 241, if I'm not mistaken. So before that, he tried 224, cleared it on the first attempt, tried 227, cleared it at the first attempt, tries 230, clears it at the first attempt, 233, first attempt, 235, first attempt. And between all of this, the hilarious part is the cameras caught him clearing the first attempt, and then he was literally lying down in the middle of the field and watching the rest of the competitors, sweat to try and catch up with him. So that is what he brings to the table. He is a true-blooded showman who wants to make sure that he is enjoying himself, but the rest of the field is also enjoying themselves.
Very well said, Amit. Bharshim seems to be the coolest guy on the field. But so many other things happened on the 4th day, Sandeep. Faith Kipyegon retained her 1500-meter sprint title. The 2-time Olympic champion was behind Segai at one point in time. But just like Al-Bakali, the Kenyan athlete turned things around in the final seconds and finished with a timing of 3:52.96. It was such a fast race, Sandeep. Simply amazing, isn't it?
I mean, it was devastating. I mean, this is the kind of pace that will kill people. You know, I was reading this line, forgetting the newspaper. It was like a Marvin Hagler versus Tommy Hearns bout, you know, and with another third boxer thrown in. So the third boxer could be Muir itself. But I mean, you hardly see such pace. I mean, she was on the track lying down for 5 minutes, Laura Muir.
Not even celebrating. Yeah.
She said that her legs were on fire, her body was on fire, and the same thing Faith was saying. I mean, the time they took to probably do the race, that was double the time they were lying on the track. They couldn't even get up. This was an amazing race. And got to look at the fact that Muir has come back from a 2-month injury where she had a problem with the femur and, you know, all of that, and still she comes and does this. I mean, there was no other way actually. I mean, the way the four moved away and the rest of the group left behind, this was a pace that would have probably killed anyone else. But Faith had to move there. Otherwise, Sege would have come in, Laura Muir would have moved in completely. Muir's only problem was that she probably couldn't have lasted the pace if it would have come earlier. It came a little late. She was with them hanging on, and then she went for it because there was no other reason not to do it, because otherwise you would have fallen back. But this was a race that she's going to remember, everybody's going to remember. This 1500 meter was killing.
There was so much of a gap, Sandeep, between the front four runners and the rest of them.
That was the only way to do it. Otherwise, how do you get the pace? How do you go around? You know, it was like they were doing a 400 all the time. And the best news probably came later for her, that Faith is not going to be at the CWG. So Laura Muir is going to probably thinking, okay, fine. I mean, that's one medal that she'll also probably be. She'll probably be on the top of the podium. But a race to remember.
And also the timings that we were looking at, finishing the first lap in just 43 seconds, finishing 400 meters in 43 seconds.
The people were gasping. I mean, like, you know, it was like coming on to television in that sense. But I'm happy because for a long time, Muir has been, you know, at the back of the pack. For a long, long time. She's been winning medals. But this is the first time you saw her wanting to wade into attack. This is the first time you actually saw her that, okay, fine, you're going to be racing along, I'm going to be there kicking right at the back. It was wonderful to watch this race. I mean, Bakhali was a different thing. This was a completely different race that you could ever visualize and even see anywhere.
And in between all this, something out of the sort happened. Gentlemen, something which the sporting world couldn't believe. Devon Allen disqualified from the 110-meter hurdle race for false starting by just 1,000th of a second. It's so heartbreaking for an athlete, Sandeep. Your thoughts on this?
It's heartbreaking, but at the end of the day, the rules are the rules. You really can't play along with them. When I say play, I don't mean to criticize here. I don't mean to be negative. I don't want to bring anybody down. But it was killing for him. It's been killing for a lot of people. It's like, you know, Linford Christie. He's a European world Olympic champion, world champion, everything. He said he always maintained one thing, always go with the B of the bang. So the gun. Moment you hear a bang, go. Okay. This is where...
But it matters a lot, you know, 1,000th of a second.
Well,
that's so minute.
It did matter. It did matter to Usain Bolt also. You know, he was also disqualified. But the guy who gives you the B of the bang, that go on the B of the bang, he is himself disqualified in the Atlanta Olympics. You know, Linford Christie himself. And then he took off his vest, he went down the track and he said, you know, I'm not leaving. He was like a madman out there. But this happens because, you know, you can see the frustration. You can see what he's written there. This is a once in a 2-year chance, once in a 4-year chance. How do you kind of, you know, get used to the fact that you have done something that you yourself don't realize? You know, it's not like that you knew that you were going ahead. And the guy who's next to him, the guy who won, he's the one who told him how to start. You know, that's the best part. But it's been happening. Drummond was one guy. He was disqualified, I think, in Paris World Championships, and he stopped the race for 1 hour. He stood there. He didn't go away from the track. They had to virtually pull him off. I think Atto Bolden was there, and he probably went and said, hey, listen, let the race begin. But it hits you simply because in the Olympics it's worse. It's once in a 4-year. At least now the World Championships are in 2 years. But yes, at the end of the day, for all that is being said, for all the trolling that happened, for all the comments that were pasted on so many websites, the end thing is always that one line. Rules are rules and it's not going to change. So that's it. I mean, there's nothing more. You feel for Alan, of course you feel for him.
We certainly feel for him. But Amit, what was your reaction when you saw this?
I think it was just one of those things where the guys who wrote the rules could not have believed that something like this would happen. You know, even they would have been surprised that they had left a loophole in the rules, and which got found out at, I think, the biggest stage of them all, the World Championships. So yeah, it was kind of heartbreaking for the athlete when you get penalized for being too good. But obviously, athletics has its own ways of doing things. So you can't really. Eventually, at the end of the day, what do? You grin, bear it, and anyway, the guy. I think he has a tryout with the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFL. So I don't think he's going to be heartbroken for a long time.
But it's a pity that Allen got disqualified despite working hard throughout the year. But this is what athletics is all about. Anything and everything could happen here. On that note, we'll end this show. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more interesting news, insights, facts and figures from the World Athletic Championship. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. This is Hardik Agrawal signing off.